ConnectForth, the radio forum for students.
FVC, the place to relax and enjoy contemporary cuisine. The Bistro is Forth Valley College's own cutting-edge dining experience located on the Raploch campus. Open every weekday from 9 till 4. Come sit down with us and enjoy a hot cup of coffee with a selection of delicious pastries and confectionery delights. If you're feeling peckish, join us for breakfast in the morning or a delicious lunch in the afternoon. The Bistro is also open till 6 on Wednesdays, where we host a carvery from free featuring a variety of premium meats. For reservations, please call 01786 272 318 or email us at bistro@forthvalley.ac.uk. FVC, the place to be.
ConnectForth News and Sport.
Hello, this is Morgan McLean.
And I'm Shannon Morell.
And this is your news for the week.
ConnectForth News and Sport.
Forth Valley students made the news this week as the members of the English for Speakers of Other Languages class met two prominent MPs to discuss the referendum.
Falkirk East MSP Angus MacDonald and the Mid-Scotland and Fife Labour MSP Jane Baxter visited the college to discuss with the class about their votes in the independence referendum and the effects their choices could have.
This marks the second occasion that the class has met Mr MacDonald, following a prior meeting at the Scottish Parliament. The students were eager to ask questions of both MSPs in order to make informed decisions about their futures in Scotland.
The evening finished as the students planted trees and picked up litter in the Falkirk campus grounds.
ConnectForth News and Sport.
FVC, the place to be for hair and beauty. From waxing to facial, styling to colour and foil, come and relax with us at our salons, based out of 3 of our 4 campuses in Alloa, Raploch and Falkirk, now open on Thursdays and Fridays. To find out the contact information, pick up one of the leaflets from around the college, or go on our Facebook page or the college website. FBC, the place to be for hair and beauty.
ConnectForth Special.
Hello, you're listening to today's specialist programme on ConnectForth Radio. My name is Nicole Tanner and today I will be reviewing the film Divergent.
Your results were inconclusive.
This was supposed to tell me what to do. We're supposed to trust the test.
Didn't work on you. They call it Divergent.
Divergent is the latest film by director Neil Berger, best known for films such as The Illusionist, The Lucky Ones and Limitless. It stars Shailene Woodley as main character Beatrice, best known for The OC and The Descendants, Theo James as her love interest named Four, best known for Underworld Awakening and the In-Betweeners movie, and Kate Winslet as Janine.
The only way our society can survive is for each of you to claim your rightful place.
Divergent, like 90% of films these days, has been adapted from a book. Divergent was written by Veronica Roth and was originally released in 2011 as part of a trilogy. There is a high chance the last book will be split into 2 very long films, Hollywood's favourite thing to do to make even more money. The film has predominantly been referred to as a mixture between The Hunger Games and Twilight. There are definitely similarities between them, especially The Hunger Games. Both films have a common theme that after the war the city was divided into different categories, with The Hunger Games being divided by wealth and Divergent being divided by personality characteristics. These worlds are both run by a government. Both films also feature a strong female lead who represents rebellion and freedom from the system that is currently in place, and they both feature a love story. But it is just that, similarities. When I was watching this film I thought, I suppose you could compare this scene to this scene from The Hunger Games, but I generally never thought of it as a comparison to The Hunger Games. In relation to the film being compared with Twilight, I don't see much similarity other than the love story.
I don't want to be just one thing. I want to be brave and selfless and intelligent and honest and kind.
Triss, the main character, learns that she is divergent and won't fit in a world divided by factions based on virtues. When she discovers a plot to destroy Divergence, Triss and the mysterious Four must find out what makes Divergence dangerous before it's too late.
Divergence threaten the system. It won't be safe until they're removed.
First of all, this film obviously had a huge budget. The setting and special effects used were very impressive. However, the reason that I assume this film had a huge budget was because it decided to waste a huge chunk of it in casting Kate Winslet. When I saw the trailer and saw that Kate Winslet starred, I thought she would be a massive part. The part she played was crucial to the storyline, however she was barely in the film at all. The film seemed to take forever to get to the point. There was so much crammed into 2 hours and 11 minutes. The first third of the film felt like it was giving an overview to the settings and characters. The second third was a development of the love story, and the last third added a dramatic plot with an action-packed shootout. Neither of these plots came as a shock. There is no part of this movie that I genuinely was surprised about. It was very predictable.
You can't let them find out about you. They're always watching.
However, I am, like any other stereotypical girl, a sucker for a romance subplot, but even with that it didn't feel like the romance really developed. For the main character Triss's love interest was in the first third of the film, and although there were a few altercations with Triss, there weren't really any hints at romance. He seemed to just stick his tongue down her throat without any build-up. There was definitely a lack of romance to the romance plot, but then again, how romantic can you be when you're beating people up and shooting them? I would say that the film's genres, sci-fi, action and romance, attempted to cover a wide demographic, but on watching, I would definitely say this film is aimed at a female-dominated audience from teens to early 20s. I definitely couldn't see my dad watching it anyway.
We have to fight back.
Ready?
Overall, the film was enjoyable, and maybe the reason I didn't love it was because it was so hyped up to be exactly like The Hunger Games. Perhaps I was comparing them in the back of my mind. I would definitely say give the film a go, but just bear in mind that it isn't The Hunger Games, and try to forget about that and enjoy the film and the plot for what it is. Divergent is released this Friday the 4th of April. Pop into your local Cineworld or The View and check it out. You have been listening to the specialist programme on ConnectForth, the radio forum for students. Thanks for listening.
ConnectForth Special.
Come down to Cineworld for the ultimate film experience. Grab some popcorn, a drink, and kick back and relax. Cineworld is dedicated to bringing you the hottest new releases, and with great student discounts, there's never been a better time to go to the cinema. Find us at Central Retail Park, Falkirk. And don't forget about Bargain Tuesdays. Any ticket, any time, only £5.80. Or pay monthly for our unlimited card to enjoy as many films as you want. Check out more at cineworld.co.uk.
ConnectForth Feature.
Hi there, you're listening to Books to Film, an adaptation, here on ConnectForth, the radio forum for students. I am your host Aaron McAllister, and today we're going to talk about books. Now, for the longest time, books have been the gateway for readers to transport themselves to magic and strange new worlds, creating characters who seem real, all through the use of words and imagination.
But the curious thing is how many people there are in the world who are perfectly convinced that he is a living human being. I get letters addressed to him, and I get letters asking for his autograph, get letters addressed to his rather stupid friend, Watson. I've even had ladies writing to say that they'd be very glad to act as his housekeeper.
That was Sir Arthur Conan Doyle discussing the impact his Sherlock Holmes novels had on readers all the way back in 1927. So I decided to visit Forth Valley College to find out what books meant to students.
To be honest, I'm not a big reader. The only books that I've really been interested in was the Harry Potter novels, and I think that was just because they were obviously made such a big deal of at the time, and I just wanted to see what everybody was talking about, and so that I could join in the conversations.
For me, reading a book is something that I do when I want to kind of relax and just get away from the daily work that has to be done and just kind of go into your own little world and just lose yourself for a little while.
I like to read books. I think it gives you a better understanding of the actual narrative before you watch the film itself. One of my favourite books is The Hunger Games and things like Bridget Jones's Diaries, Confessions of a Shopaholic. There's a few different books that I like.
As you can hear, books have had a positive impact on these students. But books haven't been the only form of storytelling. Since the 1890s, film has become a worldwide phenomenon. Plus, the industry is a huge moneymaker, so it only makes sense to adapt books to the big screen. After all, a film can visually show you the tale, bring the characters to life, and allow an audience to share a vision. The problem with adaptations, particularly in this day and age, is fan backlash. Has there been any film or TV series that you felt poorly adapted a book?
Obviously it's quite subjective because first of all you have to decide, do you actually like the book or not. I do think that some adaptations of older works such as Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, a lot of the new versions are different and sometimes they don't use the same kind of language, like they modernise it so they can get a bigger audience in, and I think it ruins it for everyone else who enjoys it as it is.
I would say the second season of Game of Thrones, they change a lot of the details of the show to kind of make it flow better for TV audiences, but they end up kind of tripping over themselves and creating ripple effects that just makes a mess of the plot, to be honest.
To be perfectly honest, the Hobbit films I see as poorly adapted, not so much for the fact of missing out information and things like that from the books, but the fact they went far too into detail. They're making so much from the smaller details in the book, even making up characters and things like that just to kind of get a bit more information. It's almost not too true to the book, but a bit too much for 3 films that should just be kind of one movie, so it's overly adapted in my opinion.
Understandable complaints, but books and films are completely different in how they tell a story. A book by design is broken up into chapters, allowing the reader the choice to take a break. A film doesn't. A film by its design is intended to be viewed in one sitting, unlike TV, which shares the visual and audio aspects of film, but they have their story told throughout multiple episodes, which serve as chapters. So when a book is getting adapted to film, parts have to get dropped or condensed to bring the viewing time down. One of the most famous and oldest examples of this is back in 1924, when Austrian director Erich von Stroheim adapted writer Frank Norris's 1899 novel Fatigue. What resulted was a 462-minute feature titled Greed. Now, I want to repeat that. 462 minutes. That's just under 8 hours. Could you imagine sitting for that long? Could you sit for that long?
The longest I've sat watching a film in a cinema would probably be about 3.5 hours. That was Wolf of Wall Street, but I have watched the extended edition of Lord of the Rings, so that's probably around 8.5 hours, so as long as I kind of had enough food, I could probably watch that.
No, not at all. I get bored too easily.
It would definitely depend on the film and where I was watching it. If I was at home, yeah, why not? I marathon things like all the time. But if I was sitting in a cinema, after a while, it would get quite tiring and my backside would go numb. I definitely know that.
Resulting numb backside aside, that's not the only reason for change. As stated earlier, film is a visual medium, compared to book, which is generally told through narration. A film can get across visually in one scene what may take a book a couple of pages to get across. So not as much time is needed spent explaining every bit of detail. Again, going back to the visual aspect, what may sound good on paper does not mean it will look good on the big screen. Stanley Kubrick had this problem when adapting Stephen King's The Shining. He felt that killer hedges were too silly for the film's climax, so he changed the ending completely. This can result from lack of ability to suspend disbelief, or the filmmakers couldn't bring the imagery to screen, which thanks to technology, a lot of high concept novels like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings have been brought to life in the past decade, with more and more being adapted each year. Isn't there any books you would like to see adapted?
To be honest, I'd like to see a readaptation of The Shining. The kind of famous thing with The Shining is that the director took so much away from the book. You know, it's really his film, his version of it. It'd be interesting to see a kind of King's version of that and being more kind of involved on the set and see what that would be like.
Well, actually, one of my book series that I quite like at the moment, Derek Landy's Skullduggery Pleasant series, they're creating a live-action film based on that book series, and I'm quite looking forward to that, and I'm sort of keeping up with the information on it.
My favourite fantasy trilogy by Garth Nix, the Sabriel trilogy, I'd love to see them adapt into a film.
The chances are high that most of these books would be adapted, since there's such a boom for book adaptations. But with this comes one of the main problems. Since they are such big money makers, many writers will sell the rights to their books and have no involvement with its production, since they just have no interest. This of course isn't always the case. Author Mary Poppins P.L. Travers tried to be involved with the film's production, but was mostly ignored. The movie Saving Mr. Banks focuses on her experience. Stephen King has been involved in many adaptations of his novels, but was unable to make any compromises with Stanley Kubrick on The Shining. Though this lack of partnership does seem to be fading. J.K. Rowling had to approve all of the Harry Potter screenplays before they could be made, and Suzanne Collins helped write the screenplay for The Hunger Games, so it is possible that time has changed the process, and hopefully for the better. Do you think that filmmakers and authors will work more closely together in the future to make their films more successful?
I think they should. There's lots happening right now, as you see with Harry Potter, The Hunger Games, there's lots of that going on. I think the more that happens, then fans of both filmmaking and then obviously the books.
Oh, I definitely think they should work very closely together. Obviously you can't take a book and translate it immediately into film and have everything as it was, because there's things like budgeting and timing and some things you just can't recreate. But it would be better if they could work closely together so you get the essence of what the writer was looking for.
I think they should, and failing that, I think that a lot of directors and studios who end up purchasing the rights to create a movie of a work of fiction or a work of literature should pay more respect to the intents of the author, because so many times you see a brilliant book taken by a Hollywood studio and it's just completely homogenized like Hollywood culture, and it just loses all the things that made the original book interesting or the intriguing, and just ruins it.
Now, we have heard what you, the audience, feel towards adaptations. Now, I'm going to play you an interview I had with independent filmmaker Fraser Cole, director of Night is Day. As a filmmaker, have you ever found yourself unable to adapt something from a script?
Yes, it's just down to the source material. I've never had to adapt anything from a book or a novel. It has been scripts. But some things are just unfilmable, and it's usually down to lack of budget or time.
Has there ever been a book adaptation you've just hated?
Yes, it was called Paycheck. The book was by Philip K. Dick, who's my favourite all-time author, and they turned it into a film with Ben Affleck and Uma Thurman. And after reading the source book, we just made so many changes to it that it didn't feel like, it just kind of felt like they were missing the point entirely of the book. They just turned it into a generic action film, and it got lost in translation.
Do you think that's the problem of the adaptations that don't get well received? Do you think the filmmakers try and change too much?
Yeah, I think they just try and, obviously books are a lot bigger than your standard 2-hour movie running time. I think it might be down to producers, I don't know, who just cut out what most people, if someone loves a book, they love everything about that book, character, scene, situations, or what happens, and when it gets kind of processed through the Hollywood machine, a lot of the kind of fat gets cut off just so it can become an action movie.
In the past 10 years, franchises like Harry Potter and The Hunger Games have been really successful, and their authors have had big involvement in the productions. Do you think that's the best way to take film adaptations?
Yeah, I also think that the good thing with The Hunger Games and Harry Potter is that they haven't tried to cut lots of stuff out to put it into an hour and a half or 2 hours. They've been quite good, and they've turned it into 2 movies, or in The Hobbit's case, 3 movies. And that way, nothing can potentially be left out. Maybe a few things here and there, but when you spend a bit more time with the person who actually wrote it, or give the film itself more time, then you're going to be able to fit in more the readers wanted to see.
Linking back to yourself, when you're filming something, do you prefer working with the writer?
I'm quite lucky that I tend to direct films or a web series that I've wrote, but as far as I'm concerned, we're going to be making a web series in the summer, and I didn't write most of the episodes I on the road too, so I will be working with the writers who did it, but I would prefer that it kind of just got handed off to the director to take charge, because no disrespect to the authors, it's the filmmakers should know what they're doing about making a film, and they should be able to make the right decisions based on the source material that they have.
In regards to the way audiences react, do you think the public should trust the filmmaker a little bit more when making the film?
I don't think filmmakers can win, to be honest with you. If you get a 2-hour movie and things are cut out and they say, it wasn't as good as book, but so then if you give it more time, 2 or 3 movies, again, like The Hobbit or the Harry Potter films are split into 2, and the Hunger Games, the final books, are split into 2, then people complain that they're just money spinning and just trying to make more money out of it by having 2 extra movies, when really it's not. It's just a case of trying to get as much from the book as you can, so I think it's a no-winner for either side.
That is the end of our show. I would like to thank all who listened, and I would like to thank Fraser Cole for his interview. You have been listening to Books to Film, an adaptation, here on ConnectForth, the radio forum for students. Thank you for listening.
ConnectForth feature.
Das Sterling presents a brand new and exclusive event. Play.
Every Thursday, from 10 PM till 2 AM. Music from 2 talented local DJs, Liam Andrews and Robbie Tolson, with a mixture of
house, bass, garage, hip hop,
and more. £1 drinks all night, with £2 entry with a flyer or £3 entry on the guest list. For more information about being on the guest list, add Nicole Tanner on Facebook. For more information about the event, visit Play's Facebook page by searching Play in the search bar. See you there!
Please remember to always drink responsibly.
ConnectForth Special.
This is Jasmine Crawford for ConnectForth, bringing you a review of the hottest new driving movie, Need for Speed.
They took everything from me.
Need for Speed follows the story of Toby Marshall, a former race car driver who runs a garage he inherited from his father in New York. The story focuses on a deep-rooted rivalry between Toby and Dino, and after an unfortunate incident while racing, Toby sets out on a cross-country mission to avenge his friend's death and beat his rival once and for all.
All those who defied me shall be ashamed and disgraced. Those who wage war against me shall perish.
At the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to DJ Monarch, who runs a racing web radio show. DJ Monarch, played by Michael Keaton, acts as a narrator throughout the movie and explains to us that when they were younger, Toby, played by Aaron Paul, and Dino, played by Dominic Cooper, used to compete against each other in local streetcar races, where their rivalry began. Since then, Dino has become a successful professional racer who owns his own car dealership, while Toby is struggling to pay the bills, running his father's garage.
We're gonna need a fast car.
One day, Dino turns up at Toby's garage, asking him and his crew to fix up a special Ford Mustang. Dino offers Toby a 25% cut of whatever he sells the car for, and although Toby's crew try and talk him out of it, he accepts Dino's offer in offer to keep his father's garage running. Once Dino sells the car, old rivalries return, leading Dino to challenge Toby to a race. If Dino wins, Toby gets nothing, but if Toby wins, Dino will give him 100% of the profits from the sale of the Mustang, $2.7 million. The youngest member of Toby's crew, Little Pete, begs to be included in the race, but tragically dies after Dino bangs into the back of his car due to the frustration of being in last place, causing it to crash over a bridge and burst into flames.
He just left him there. That's what I can't forgive.
Dino drives away from the scene while Toby rushes back to try and save his friend, and as a result, Toby gets sent to prison for the murder of Little Pete.
I spent 2 years thinking about one moment.
Upon his release, Toby immediately sets his plan to avenge Little Pete's death into action, and sets off across the country to seek justice and to put an end to the rivalry for good.
I will find strength, find guidance, and I will triumph.
So what's my verdict? Well, as an avid player of the Need for Speed games that this movie was based on, I was pretty sceptical going in. However, I'm pleased to report that I was pleasantly surprised. Any fellow players out there will almost certainly recognise some of the scenery in the movie, as many of the aerial shots look almost identical to sections of the game. One of the things I enjoyed most about this movie was that visually, it's absolutely stunning. Director Scott Waugh was adamant that he didn't want to use CGI, instead he opted for practical skills and put the actors through intensive driving training, getting most of them to perform the majority of their own stunts.
I did most of my driving, no CGI. Everything that you see in this film was real.
This, in my opinion, is what sets Need for Speed apart from other driving films. This movie is a feast for the eyes, and as a viewer it really draws you in. The use of helmet cameras creates the excitement of feeling like it's you who's driving, and again is another nod to the film's gaming roots. The standout performance in this movie is undoubtedly Aaron Paul's portrayal of Toby Marshall. In his first film debut since the roaring success of American TV show Breaking Bad, where he played Jesse Pinkman, a drug dealer and meth head, Aaron Paul's portrayal of Toby Marshall is both understated and believable. He's created a character that you can really sympathise with, a character you're rooting for. Although there are certain elements of the film that are somewhat cheesy, mainly Dominic Cooper's performance as Dino, on the whole this is one of the best driving movies I've seen in a long time. This film is a delicious cocktail of drama, humour and excitement. If you're a fan of the Need for Speed games or are just looking for a really good action film, I thoroughly recommend that you give this one a go. Once again, this has been Jasmine Crawford for ConnectForth.
You are out of your mind. I love it.
ConnectForth Special.
Come down to Cineworld for the ultimate film experience. Grab some popcorn, a drink, and kick back and relax. Cineworld is dedicated to bringing you the hottest new releases, and with great student discounts, there's never been a better time to go to the cinema. Find us at Central Retail Park, Falkirk. And don't forget about Bargain Tuesdays. Any ticket, anytime, only £5.80. Or pay monthly for our unlimited card to enjoy as many films as you want. Check out more at cineworld.co.uk.
ConnectForth News and Sport.
Forth Valley College is proud to reveal that 7 of its Work Start students are set to complete the highest level of the John Muir Award for Conservation.
The team created various hotspots for the wildlife at the RSPB site in Skinflats and litter-picked the Forth shoreline.
The Access Level course is designed for young people with additional learning support needs, helping them to develop essential skills required in the workplace, such as problem solving and communication.
The trust is named after Scottish-born conservationalist John Muir, who became the father of the American National Park movement when he emigrated there in 1849.
The final task for our Magnificent Seven is an overnight stay at Loch Fenachar, which was financed with a sponsored walk along a part of the John Muir Trail between Linlithgow and Falkirk. That's ConnectForth News,
keeping you connected.
ConnectForth News and Sport.
FVC, the place to relax and enjoy contemporary cuisine. The Gallery is Forfar Gorgie's premier restaurant situated on our Stirling campus with a stunning view of one of Scotland's most famous landmarks, the Wallace Monument. Join us for breakfast on weekdays from 10 to 11:15 or enjoy lunch in the afternoon from 12 till 2. And between 5 and 7 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays you're invited to savour a premium dinner perfected by our team of professional chefs. For reservations, call us at 01786 406 027 or send an email to gallery@forfvalley.ac.uk. FVC, the place to be.
You've been listening to ConnectForth, the radio forum for students. This podcast was produced by second year BA Media and Communication students. Thanks for listening. Keep on tuning in.
ConnectForth, the radio forum for students.